You know, psychology tells us that people's perception of any experience, good or bad, is largely based on how they felt at its peak and at its end. And this is called the peak-end rule. And this is based on research starting with Fredrickson and Kahneman, and they found that experiences, or perception of experiences, is not based on the total sum of every moment. Rather, it's the peak and the end. It's not that the entirety of the experience is lost, it's just that we don't tend to use it as humans. Basically, it's a cognitive bias in which sample size is ignored, and we all do it, it's just how we are. And that got me to thinking about it with reference to change management. You know, we know with every change, we're moving from a current state through a transition state when the change is actually happening to a new future state, or, as I said in my last video, a new intersubjective reality. And we know that unless we manage the transition state well with excellent change management, it'll be full of negative occurrences, which may compromise the targeted future state. So as part of engaging in excellent change management, how about explicitly building in a firmly positive peak and end to take account of how we perceive things in terms of the peak-end rule? And it got me thinking of a couple of examples. I worked with an organisation who tied a change into a hardware refresh for shiny new laptops, basically. And this organisation went to great lengths to repurpose an area in their headquarters to look like an airport departure gate. They had signs that looked like airports, they had check-in desks, they had luggage tags, they had lots of swag and other t-shirts and other gifts. And the change they were doing was explicitly tied into checking in at the airport, receiving your new device, receiving the excellent swag, and having the whole experience. And that whole experience was a big deal, and it was generally regarded by individuals as a peak event. That's one example. Another organisation incorporated collaboration, in this case using Microsoft 365 and Teams, into their company-wide all-company awards event. The winners were publicly recognised and rewarded at that event, and it was quite a fancy affair. So the whole experience was a big deal, and it was generally regarded as a very strong end to the particular change that they were undergoing. And so ultimately, no matter how rocky the road is in your change journey, it can't hurt to recognise that by including peaks and ends, you can go a long way towards mitigating negative perceptions that surfaced along the way. And as you know, in change management, we often, as part of our initial assessment, we'll look at a past history of, quotes, failed or compromised changes. But if we use the peak-end approach, we can make sure that, notwithstanding the fact that we manage change well, that we also incorporate high peaks and a high end state. Because if we do that, then the retrospective perception of change will be improved. It turns out that the peak-end heuristic is just how we're wired as humans, so why not use it? Hope that helps.